Have you noticed how people can read the same article but come away with completely different conclusions? That's not coincidence, it's psychology. What you're seeing is confirmation bias at work, our mind's habit of searching for, interpreting, and remembering information that supports what we already believe, while sidelining or dismissing anything that contradicts it. It's not a moral failing, it's a mental shortcut. And it's powerful enough to bend how we eat, vote, spend, and argue often, without us realizing it. Let's start in a place most of us know well: health advice. Imagine you're convinced a certain diet works. From that moment, you start noticing every glowing before and after photo, every friend who says, "It changed my life," every headline that fits your story. You remember the days the scale dropped, and you forget the plateaus. You collect success stories like trophies and quietly step around the failures or explain them away. When a well-designed study reports mixed results, you tell yourself, "They didn't do the diet properly." Or, "Those people are different from me." Same world, same date, different filter. Now swap the kitchen for politics. Two people watch the same news clip. One walks away thinking, "That proves my side is competent," while the other thinks, "That proves the opposition is corrupt." The facts didn't change, interpretation did. We highlight details that fit our narrative, frame ambiguous parts in our favor, and question the credibility of sources that contradict us. Over time, this habit creates echo chambers. Our feeds show us what we click on, what we linger on, and what we share, so the stream becomes warmer and warmer water for the beliefs we already like to swim in. Why do we do this? 3 reasons. First, cognitive efficiency. Your brain saves energy by preferring patterns it already knows. Second, identity protection. Some beliefs aren't just facts to us. They are part of who we are. Evidence that contradicts them can feel like a personal threat, so we defend rather than evaluate. Third, emotional reward. It feels good to be right. That yes sensation when something agrees with you is a tiny hit of certainty. Disconfirming evidence, by contrast, feels like friction, so we naturally avoid it. Psychologists sometimes call this misside bias. We're excellent lawyers for our own beliefs. We question, cross-examine, and raise the standard of proof for anything that threatens our view, and we become surprisingly lax when something supports it. Notice that this isn't just about what we read, it's also about what we remember. Supporting evidence sticks, a contradictory evidence fades. In memory, the scales quietly tilt until our past looks like a long series of confirmations. This would be merely interesting if it only affected trivia. But it shapes real-world decisions. Investors cling to bullish news in a falling market and explain away red flags. Managers hire the candidate who feels right and then interpret every early success as proof they were correct. Scientists are vulnerable too. Which is why we invented safeguards like pre-registration, blind analysis, and replication. Confirmation bias is so universal that entire methods exist just to keep it from steering the wheel. Let's zoom in on what confirmation bias looks like in the moment, so you can spot it. First, the selective search. You type a question into a search engine, but the wording already points to your preferred answer. Benefits of intermittent fasting rather than effects of intermittent fasting. Second, the selective interpretation. You open 2 studies, one supportive, one not. The supportive paper seems solid and well-designed, while the critical one seems limited. Small sample, different context. Third, the selective memory. Later that week, you remember the positive graph in sharp detail and the negative one in a blur. There's a classic thought experiment that captures this. You're testing a rule, like if a card has a vowel on one side, it has an even number on the other. People overwhelmingly check the cards that could confirm the rule and ignore the ones that could falsify it. We prefer evidence that could be right rather than evidence that would show we're wrong. But here's the twist. If your rule survives a genuine attempt to break it, it becomes stronger. Trying to disprove yourself is the weirdly reliable path to being right. So how do you fight back without turning into a cynical skeptic who trusts nothing? Start by asking one simple question whenever you feel a surge of I knew it. Ask, what evidence would change my mind? If the honest answer is nothing, you're not evaluating a claim, you're protecting an identity. That recognition alone can loosen confirmation bias's grip. Second, practice the two-column test. On the left, list the best evidence for your view. On the right, list the best evidence against it. The goal is parity. Same number of points, similar level of quality. If your against column looks thin, don't stop early. Go look for credible sources that disagree with you. Set a quota. One high-quality, disconfirming source for every confirming source you consume. This feels uncomfortable at first. That's a good sign. Third, try steelmanning. Before you argue against the other side, rewrite their position so well that they'd say, yes, that's exactly what I mean. Then respond to that strongest version, not the weakest one you can find. This prevents the strawman game where we only battle caricatures and pat ourselves on the back. Fourth, track your predictions. When you're confident about a belief about a diet, a policy, a stock, write down what you expect to happen and by when. Then revisit it later. This fights the slippery memory that quietly edits the past. You'll notice where you were right, where you were wrong, and where your confidence was out of proportion to reality. Over time, you'll calibrate. Not more skeptical, but more accurate. Fifth, diversify your information diet deliberately. Follow at least one source you often disagree with, but pick one that is rigorous and fair, not sensational or trollish. You're looking for intelligent disagreement, not outrage. When you encounter a claim that flatters your side, pause and check the original study or data if possible. Ask, who measured this? How? What was the sample? What would an informed critic say? Let's circle back to those concrete examples. For diets, you can implement a simple rule. Count misses as carefully as you count hits. If you're trying a plan, track every day, not just the good ones. When a friend swears by a method, ask them about people they know who tried and struggled. Seek out neutral analyses or systematic reviews rather than cherry-picked anecdotes. If the evidence is mixed, treat it as mixed. That's not indecision, that's honesty. In politics, practice separating facts from inferences. Fact, what was said or done. Inference, what that means. When you catch yourself interpreting a headline to fit your side, ask what an informed supporter of the other side would say about the same event. You, Dan T., have to agree, but making space for an alternative explanation can prevent your beliefs from hardening into armor. One more mindset that helps. Hold your beliefs with strong opinions, weakly held. Invest in them, argue for them, but keep an open hand. When better evidence arrives, update. That's not flip-flopping, that's growth. The world is noisy, and sometimes the best we can do is be a little less wrong today than we were yesterday. If you want a practical challenge for the week, try this. Pick one topic you're confident about: health, finance, education, anything. Write down your position in one sentence, then spend 30 minutes looking for the best evidence against it from credible sources. No doom scrolling, no rage clicks, just your most charitable search. End by writing a single paragraph that begins, "The strongest case against my view is," you might not change your mind. That's fine, but you'll almost certainly refine it. And that refinement is the antidote to confirmation bias, less certainty by default, more clarity by design. In the end, the goal isn't to become a cold, detached robot. It's to be a wiser human, to notice when your brain is nudging you toward comfort over truth, and to gently steer back toward the evidence. When you do, disagreements become more productive, choices become smarter, and the world becomes a little less filtered. Confirmation bias shapes how we see the world, not as it really is, but as we expect it to be.